That I might call it a teaser or a starter. But before we sing more hymns, allow me to pose the question, where do hymns come from and what is their use? Where do hymns come from and what is their use? Well, hymns with their timeless melodies have woven themselves into the fabrics of human history. They serve as channels of spirituality, channels of cultural expression, channels of communal worship even, like we are doing tonight. They are rooted in tradition, yet they have ever been evolving. They transcend generations, they offer solace, they offer inspiration, and a sense of connection to something or someone greater than oneself. The origins of hymns to ancient civilizations, where music played a central role in religious rituals and communal gatherings. The word hymns itself, hymn, comes from the Greek word hymnos. Hymn from the Greek word hymnos, which is translated as sung and used to pay tribute to gods, leading figures, or even heroes or heroines. And in ancient Mesopotamia, hymns were sung to honor deities and to express devotion to these deities. Biblically, a hymn is defined as a religious song or poem, typically in honor of or of praise to God, or among non-believers, a god. The Hebrew Psalms that we attribute to the psalmist David, King David, are amongst the earliest examples of lyrical poetry that were set to music, serving both as expressions of faith and reflections on the human experience. In the Psalms, you read a lot about David's own experience as a king, or even before he became a king. There are yet another type of hymns which are called Vedic hymns that were sung in ancient India, which were composed as sacred chants invoking divine blessings and cosmic harmony. Hymns continued to develop during the Middle Ages. During that time, the Christian church became a significant patron of hymnody. And that word hymnody is very common amongst people who are interested in hymns. It merely means the singing of or the composition of hymns or sacred songs. So in monastic communities, hymns were composed for liturgy. Again, that's a word that you meet a lot when you're talking about hymns. Liturgy means relating to formal public worship. The Gregorian chant, some of us might have heard, emerged as a predominant form of sacred music. It was characterized by monophonic, that means single voice, texture, and some modal melodies. That is singing notes that are equal in length and only within one scale. I thought I would bring some of those technical terms so that we can appreciate how hymns are brought together. One of the first Christian influences on hymns was a person called Saint Benedict in the 6th century. He wrote Latin texts and fit them into the plain song hymns that achieved an important role in the monasteries where they were used. And then we have some hymn luminaries, such as St. Ambrose and St. Thomas Aquinas, who reflected theological themes and served as vehicles for spiritual contemplation in their hymns. These songs were chanted in unison. That means everybody saying the same part, the harmonic possibilities of hymnody, allowing for greater complexity and also emotional depth in musical expression. And then we move on to the period of the Reformation and the Protestantism. During this period, in the 16th century, we see that there were some very significant changes in church music. And this sparked a resurgence of congregational singing, as reformers such as Martin Luther advocated that the laity, or people who were not in the ministry, people who were not priests, should participate more in worship. One of the requirements of the new hymns then was that they should have a strictly scriptural basis. And to this end, the psalms were given a rhyme and rhythm and also verse structure, which made them easy to sing and easy to understand. You are all very familiar with the Martin Luther's hymn, "A Mighty Fortress is Our God," which is among the top 10 all-time great hymns. That hymn exemplifies this emphasis on congregational participation and theological clarity. Then we have a collection of hymns and hymnals that were used for communal singing, and these became aversive in Protestant churches, providing a repertoire, a collection of songs that expressed doctrinal beliefs and fostered community or communal identity. Then we come to the great composers such as Isaac Watts, who wrote hymns based on the principle that texts should express the religious feelings of the people rather than that they should be scriptural based. And then we have Charles Wesley. Charles Wesley is believed to have written 10 lines of verse each and every day for more than 50 years. And then he completed a hymn every other day. So in his lifetime, he wrote 6,000 hymns. There are other hymn writers of the era that contributed to the formation of hymn singing tradition that as we know it today. And then there was yet another change that was significant to hymns. And this followed a challenge against the imposition of Methodist-style hymnody and congregation in 1819, and this happened in England. And this change brought about a change that opened all doors to all types of rhythm, all types of hymns, even gospel hymns. And another big change then was the hymn book itself. Up to this point, there had not been. But in the 18th century, hymn books were usually just a collection of texts. You just had verses in there. They did not include musical notes. And the first American hymnal to join tunes with texts was not published until 1831. Until then, the method of singing in church was used by what was called lining out. In lining out, you had a leader of the singing say one line, and then the congregation would repeat that line. That's how they sang the hymns during those days. And this was because hymn books were expensive, number one, and number two, many of the worshipers were illiterate. They were not able to read. So they could only repeat what somebody read. But gradually, with the wider distribution of hymns and the increase in literacy rates, singing hymns in church evolved into singing one line immediately after another, allowing the hymns, therefore, to deliver powerful and moving messages. And then in this period also, you had the expansion of European colonialism and missionary activity in the 18th and 19th century. This facilitated a wider spread of hymnody into diverse cultures and contexts around the entire world. There were translations, there were adaptations into indigenous languages, and this also incorporated local musical idioms and cultural sensibilities. The missionary hymns themselves became vehicles of evangelization, transmitting Christian teachings through the medium of song. And so when you listen to African American communities, and we are all very familiar with spirituals, when spirituals are sung, they are a unique form of hymnody, blending biblical narratives with the themes of liberation and resilience in the face of oppression. We now move on then from this period on to the times that we live in. We may call this the contemporary period. So in the 21st century, what has happened? Well, hymnody continues to evolve and adapt. And now we see that tradition with contemporary worship songs. And this is done in diverse backgrounds and diverse congregational settings. This reflects a spectrum of musical styles and considered her condition a blessing. And this is what she said. If perfect earthly sight were offered me tomorrow, I would not accept it, she said. I might not have sung hymns to the praise of God if I had been distracted by the beautiful and interesting things about me. That was her testimony. So hymns do mean a great deal to a great many people. Some of us remember hymns because something happened when we first heard the hymn, or because we learned it in childhood, or because there was an important ceremony and we heard this hymn. We will remember them. Hymn writing continues to be vibrant. Composers and lyrics explore new ways to articulate faith and spirituality through music. They also serve as vehicles of social justice activism, as we've seen the resurgence of hymns and protest songs that are sung in response to modern-day oppression. So what does this then say to us about hymns? Well, from ancient rituals to modern worship services, hymns have transcended time and geography, uniting diverse communities in shared acts of devotion and praise as we are doing tonight. It also speaks to the power of music to inspire, to console, and to uplift the human spirit, bridging the gap between the sacred and the secular. So as we continue to sing these timeless melodies and proclaim these timeless truths, we honor the rich tradition of hymnody while embracing its capacity for renewal and transformation in an ever-changing world. So, this special weekend, what is it that we have for you? Well, this weekend gives us a privilege, an opportunity to celebrate the timeless tradition of praise and worship through hymns. We shall sing some of your favorite hymns, maybe we've already done in the first segment, some chosen by yourselves, others chosen by the singers sitting up here, and yet others chosen by other members of the congregation. And for some hymns, we shall also try to demonstrate how they should be sung properly. You will hear the hymns sung by children, and that's why they are here with us tonight. Some soloists, some duets, some female voices, some male voices, some mixed voices even. All the singers together, and some played just by our instrumentalists. And we are not leaving you out. As you've seen, we would like to get you to get involved as well and give you an opportunity to sing some of those hymns with us. So this evening, we feature beloved hymns, especially chosen by you, the congregation. Cherished members have chosen these hymns, and the theme of the program this evening is Going Home. Tomorrow, our worship through Sabbath School and the main worship services, both of them, will be based on the hymns, with a culmination of the weekend in the afternoon program tomorrow, where we shall have a program to the theme, The Pilgrim Life. Augustine said this. Please listen carefully. Know you what a hymn is? It is a song with praise of God. If you praise God and do not sing, you do not utter a hymn. If you sing and you do not praise God, you do not utter a hymn. If you praise anything else which pertains not to the praise of God, although you sing and praise, you utter no hymn. A hymn then contains these three things: song and praise and that of God. Praise then of God is in song is called a hymn. May this weekend's experience be full of praise to God and a true blessing to you. Thank you.
Okay, our children will lead.
Yes, all of you. Just to sing, relax. I was doing the children's story and I relaxed. Just really relax. Ndizwa mwana
slain. So our cherry on rugged cross is